private lending is not for everyone. So we're going to talk about some red flags that help you understand, is this a right fit for you in terms of an investment strategy? And now we're going to talk about what are things that pop up or traits that I have that may not fit. How do I make decisions, and how will that inform the type of lender that I'm going to be? And that should hopefully help you decide, like, do I want to explore this further, or do I need to walk away and go do something else, right? Like, there's tons of other ways to invest. There's real estate, there's stock market, there's communications, there's all kinds of things, right? So this is not the end all be all, right? You have other options. Now, some red flags that I've seen that I think occur in people's mindsets that impact their ability to be an excellent lender. Okay. First of all, people who are completely transactional in their thinking. It's quid pro quo, it's tit for tat, it's you do this for me, I do this for you all the time. Like, they don't care about the person, right? They only care about the numbers, they only care about the bottom line. Okay. This is a people business, right? This is not so attenuated that you're not going to come in contact with a human. Okay. You are going to come in contact with a human more often than not. And it's in your best interest to understand who they are and what their business is. Okay. But if your mindset is just solely transactional, you're not interested in getting to know the person behind the business, you don't care about their operations, you're going to struggle. Okay. So that's number one, right? If you're too transactional in your dealings with people. The second red flag that I would look at is people who have to have everything fast, right? The microwave thinking type people. And another way to say this is they have no capacity for patience, right? This is very common these days. People want things quickly, they want it now, and they want it perfect. And this is not the business for that, right? Like, things take time, especially the due diligence phase of private money lending. It takes time. You have to do some digging. You may have to ask some hard questions, and it may not be as quick as you want it to be. And it can be quick. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you can get a funding request and fund it in 24 hours if you want to, but you're probably going to hurt yourself. Okay. Like, if you're moving so fast that you find yourself not doing proper due diligence, you're going to hurt yourself. And so this business is probably not for you. Right. And I've heard people say things like, you can outsource your due diligence and things like that. And yeah, you can. But in the beginning, I don't recommend that. I think you need to do it yourself. You need to be in the trenches. You need to understand what you're looking at and understand why you're making the decision that you're making. Okay. So if that's you, really think about, do you want to get into this? Okay. Because it can get a little sticky real quickly, right? Another thing I would say is people who are extremely cautious, people who are very risk averse. Like, they don't like the idea at all of losing any money ever. Okay. Now, let me just be clear here, because I also don't like the idea of losing any money ever. However, I don't like it. I don't not like it enough to stop me from investing, if that makes sense. So I understand and appreciate that there's risk in every type of investing, right? And there's the spectrum of risk, right? It's not just black or white, it's risky or not. I understand there's a spectrum, and I understand that certain types of investments along that spectrum are more risky than others. And I understand that I can lose money in any investment. Now, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I don't lose money, because why would I want to lose money, right? So I'm going to put in the work, right? I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to be shrewd in my analysis to make sure I don't lose money. But if I do lose money, it's not going to be the end of the world for me, right? I'm not going to be totally panicked about it. I'm not going to be completely turned off from investing. I'm not going to have a panic attack. That works. But if the thought of losing money paralyzes you, meaning you have educated yourself, you have the funds available, you set up your business, but there's something about the thought of you losing money that just is stopping you from moving forward and actually doing a loan, it's probably not for you, right? And it could be that there's other things that you need to do, like maybe take some smaller steps, get some more confidence. There's probably things you can do to improve that, but why even go through all that when you can just do lower risk investments? I mean, they got bonds, like the chance of losing money in those is pretty low. Now, of course, the reward is also low, but at least you ain't gonna lose no money. And if that's your main concern, then maybe you should be looking at that type of investment, right? And not something that is backed by an asset, where you have to enforce your rights and things like that. So those are the top 3 red flags that I would say that you should think about if you're thinking about becoming a private money lender. If those apply to you, reconsider. Okay. Not saying don't do it. Maybe those are things you're actively working on or things you want to change about yourself. I don't know. But if that is how you are and you're like, that's probably not going to change, don't even stress yourself out with it. But just move on and do something else. Another bonus thing I would see is people with boundary issues. And there's so many people with boundary issues. I read this book called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. Excellent, exquisite, creme de la creme. Very good book. I highly recommend it. But I realized from reading that book how many people actually have boundary issues. And there's so many. Like, people really struggle with honoring other people's boundaries and setting their own boundaries. And then when they do set their boundaries, they let people trample all over them. Okay. If this is you, if you have boundary issues, private money lending is probably not for you, because people will try you. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but if it comes to the wire and, someone has to be late or whatever, and they sense from you, that you're going to be lenient or you're not going to enforce your rights or whatever, like, that creates a precedent, and we don't want that. Okay. So if you have boundary issues, I would work those out and really get some practice in enforcing and setting boundaries before you enter this space. Okay. And some of the ways I see this show up is we go through some education on private money lending, who you should lend to, who you should not lend to. Your family member finds out that you are a private money lender. They ask you for a loan. How many times have I said, do not loan to family members? Okay. We even talked about loaning to family members. I don't even care if they have an entity and it's a business purpose loan. I always say don't loan to family members. And if there's something they're saying or doing that's making you feel guilty, like you should do the loan anyway, there's probably a boundary issue at play there. Okay. So think about that. And then lastly, I would say people who are very emotional decision makers. Like, if everything is a feeling and a vibe for you and there's not a lot of logic and analysis involved, this is probably not for you. Okay. This is a very numbers and logic driven business. Now, I'm not saying that vibes don't have a place. Like, I definitely do a vibe check, but we looking at numbers. Okay. We looking at spreadsheets. We looking at P&Ls. We looking at balance sheets. We looking at comparative market analysis documents. Like, we're looking at numbers, and this is a numbers business. So if it's all vibes and no analysis, it's probably not for you. Okay. So these are just things to think about if you're considering, should I become a private money lender? Is this for me? Is this something that I can actually do? And again, if not, no worries, right? There's tons of other ways to make money, tons of other investments, and not everything is for everyone. So if you do find it's for you, definitely hit me up and let's get started.